Hi, my name is Father Ryan Duns, and I'm an assistant professor in Marquette University's theology department. One of my favorite days each semester is the day I get to teach my first year theology students about the life of St. Ignatius of Loyola, in particular about what we know as his cannonball moment. In case you're not familiar, let me give you a nutshell version of it. St. Ignatius, born in 1491 in Spain, lived a life of upward mobility, life in the court, learning to write well, to speak eloquently, to the courtly norms that were expected of him, how to use a sword. And in 1521, he was serving in the Spanish military at the Battle of Pamplona. Now, things didn't look great for the Spanish forces. In fact, the French were at the gates, ready to take the city. But Ignatius, heroic and valiant, rallies the troops, probably something out of a scene of a movie like Braveheart. And then it happens. A cannonball is fired, and it strikes Ignatius between his legs. It takes out one leg pretty severely, and it wounds the other. Now, the French admired Ignatius for his bravery, and they carried him home to Loyola, Spain. But in the process, his leg had already begun to heal, and unfortunately for Ignatius, who was very concerned about his physical appearance, it was healing ugly. So he did what was rational in an age before plastic surgery and orthopedic surgeons. He had it brutally rebroken, stretched to reset it, and then when it didn't heal adequately, because, his leggings, if you think Lululemon for men, his leggings wouldn't fit, so he had part of the bone sawed off so that there wouldn't be an unsightly protuberance into his tights. Well, the convalescent period was long, and it was agonizing, and it was boring. There was no Netflix in those days. So Ignatius had to satisfy his boredom with two books, A Life of Christ and A Life of the Saints. And it was during that long period of convalescence, in the wake of the cannonball moment, that Ignatius began to pay attention to the movements and the stirrings of his imagination and the movements and stirrings of his heart, and he came to know better the way that God was calling him through his desires. The cannonball experience carried with it a slender, gossamer strand of grace that forced Ignatius to step back, to reevaluate his life, to come to know in the depths of his heart where God was calling him, and it led to a whole new way of life. The breakdown of old things, old ways, of old expectations was a breakthrough to the life of the pilgrim, the life of the saint. And Marquette University, 500 years later, continues that pilgrimage each and every semester with the students we are privileged to teach. So what's a cannonball moment? Well, it's not likely that any one of us has ever been literally shot with a cannonball. But every one of us knows an experience, sometimes very painful, the death of a loved one, the loss of a job, a sudden career change we hadn't expected, a debilitating illness, COVID. A cannonball that shatters our plans, that wrecks our expectations. Sometimes the cannonballs are moments of grace, the birth of a child, finding a new passion, discovering one's true calling. Even though it's a little bit terrifying, it's still exhilarating. Every cannonball, everything that seems to shake us at our very foundations, can, to the discerning heart, be an invitation and an opportunity to discover where we are being called and who God is calling us to become. Every cannonball moment, then, is an opportunity for discernment. I have to tell you, I love teaching our students because every semester I get these amazingly talented and wonderful young women and men, and so many of them are confused and anxious about the future, and they've experienced trauma and loss and new discoveries and grace in their lives, and they're trying to find a way to put it all together. It is such a privilege to be able to help make a difference in their lives by giving them language and concepts and an education to look at these cannonball moments and help them to make sense of it, to discover maybe, just maybe, their vocation in this life, where everything that they bring together in their bodies and in their passions and in their dreams and hopes, ways that all of these can be brought together and put to the use of God's greater glory. Each one of them comes to know in the core of her or his being that they're called to something more, that they are called to be the difference in a world that so desperately needs it. It is at this time that I would like to invite you to practice what we teach at Marquette University. I invite you to close your eyes just for a moment. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Breathe in through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Out through the mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Call to mind something for which you are grateful today. Big or small, it does not matter. Simply allow yourself to feel gratitude. Now, let's explore within your own heart and within your own life a cannonball moment. Can you recall a time when you experienced a sudden breakdown in the way you thought things should go in your life? Maybe it was meeting your beloved on Marquette's campus, or maybe it was a class you took that changed your life. Maybe it was your first-born child, or the death of a loved one. Call that moment to mind and just sit with it. It is one of the gifts of Jesuit education that we invite our students to look at experiences. Too often, we look past. Where is God at work in your life today? Where is God inviting you to go deeper, to commit yourself, your life, your heart, your freedom? How are you being called to make a difference in the lives of other people? A difference in the lives of the next generation? For all that has been, allow yourself to feel grateful. And for all that will be, ask for the grace to say yes.